The alien marketplace was loud, dirty, and full of strange smells. Creatures from 10 different planets walked around, shouting, trading, cheating. The ground was wet with oil, and smoke filled the air. It was a place where laws didn't matter. Only money and power ruled. In the middle of this chaos stood a broken cage. Inside it, a girl was sitting. She was thin, dirty, and covered in bruises. Her eyes were empty, her clothes torn. She looked more like a ghost than a person. 1 bottle of liquor. The alien trader shouted. He was a fat creature with 4 arms and yellow teeth. Just one, for this useless, broken slave. People walked by, some laughed, others didn't even look. She was nothing to them. Captain Rel walked slowly through the market. He was a human, tall, strong, with a tired face and cold eyes. His ship was low on fuel, and he hated coming to these places. But today, something pulled his attention. He stopped. He saw the girl. At first, he wasn't sure why he looked. Maybe it was her silence in a noisy place. Maybe it was how she didn't beg, didn't cry, didn't even blink. She just stared forward. What's wrong with her? Rel asked, and the trader laughed. She's broken, useless. Doesn't talk, doesn't move. You want her? 1 bottle of liquor, and she's yours. Rel looked at the girl again. There was something strange. Her skin had marks, not bruises, glowing lines, faint, almost like they were alive. But nobody else seemed to notice. The trader growled. Come on. Human, you scared? Afraid she bite? Rel didn't answer. He took a bottle out of his coat. Cheap alien liquor, and threw it to the trader. Done, the trader grinned. She's yours now. The cage opened. The girl didn't move. Rel walked in, slowly, carefully. He knelt beside her. What's your name? He asked softly. No answer. He reached out a hand. For a second, she flinched like she expected pain. But when nothing happened, she looked at him. Really looked. Her eyes were strange, deep, intelligent. Not the eyes of a slave. He helped her stand. She was weak, but her legs still worked. They walked through the market. Some aliens stared. One even whispered, "That human bought her?" Idiot. Rel didn't care. Back at his ship, he gave her water. Food? Clean clothes? She didn't say a word. Rel looked at her from across the room. His ship's lights flickered for a second. Nothing big. Just a glitch, or so he thought. He sighed and leaned back in his chair. What have I done? He muttered. In the corner, the girl sat on the floor, knees to her chest. Her eyes slowly closed, and for the first time, she slept, but something strange happened. The glowing lines on her neck began to shine brighter. The lights on the ship flickered again. The engines made a soft hum, like they felt her presence. Rel stood up, confused. What the hell? Then it stopped. Everything was quiet again. The girl was sleeping, peaceful, but her body was giving off a soft golden light. It was faint, but it was there. Rel didn't know what he had just brought onto his ship, but deep inside, he knew one thing. She was not what she seemed, and she was not broken. Captain Rel sat alone in the cockpit of his old ship, the Gray Wing. Outside the glass, stars floated like dust across the black sky. But his mind wasn't on navigation. It was on her, the girl in his medical bay. She still hadn't said a single word. It had been 2 days since he pulled her out of that cage. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. What was I thinking? He whispered. His AI. A calm female voice named Lyra responded. You were thinking emotionally, not logically. Thanks for the reminder, Rel said bitterly. Down the hallway. The ship was quiet, too quiet. Even Lyra dimmed her voice when she monitored the girl. Something about her made the system cautious, and that alone made Rel nervous. He stood up and walked slowly toward the med-bay. Inside, the girl sat on the small bed, back against the wall. She was wearing clean clothes now, a simple gray jumpsuit. Her face was clean, but the sadness in her eyes hadn't left. Neither had the silence. Rel entered carefully. She didn't move. He placed a cup of warm broth on the table beside her. You haven't eaten? Still nothing. Rel sat across the room on a stool. You're safe here, you know. No chains, no traitors, no cages. For the first time, her head turned toward him, just slightly, her lips opened, then closed, but no words came. Rel sighed. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to understand. He looked at the scanner beside her bed. It was still trying to read her vitals. Error, DNA not recognized. Scan failed. What are you? He asked softly, her eyes twitched. He saw it, a flicker of pain. Or memory. Then suddenly, the lights flickered. Rel looked up. Lyra? The AI responded. Minor power surge in medbay. Source unknown. The girl's neck glowed again, faint lines of gold under her skin. Rel stood slowly. I saw that before, in the market. Those marks, what are they? The girl flinched. Her hands grabbed the edge of the bed tightly. Her breathing changed. Deeper now, faster. And then, she whispered. Double quotes, not. Tud. Rel froze. What did you say? She looked at him, eyes wide now. Not human, not slave. Then her body shook and she fell to the floor. Rel rushed forward. Lyra, medical scan. Vitals unstable, the AI warned. Heart rate rising, neural activity spiking. As he touched her shoulder, a shock of static hit his fingers. Her body was glowing, bright now, like golden fire beneath her skin. Then it stopped. Her breathing slowed. Her eyes closed and everything went silent. Rel sat there, heart pounding. He looked at the girl lying unconscious on the floor, and he felt a strange mix of fear and responsibility. He stood up and left the medbay. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. Back in the cockpit, Rel sat down and stared at the stars. Again, he opened a secret drawer and pulled out a small old photo. 2 humans. A man and a little girl, maybe 6 years old, smiling on some Earth beach. He looked at it for a long moment. She looked about the same age, he said to himself. Lyra spoke quietly. She's not a child, Captain. Not by species standards. Her cells are old, far older than human biology. What are you saying? I'm saying she might not be a who. She might be a what? Rel clenched his jaw. Doesn't matter. She's alive. She's real. And she was treated like garbage. Humans have done worse, Lyra replied. I know, he said, standing up again, which is why I won't be one of them. Later that night, as the ship drifted quietly through space, the girl opened her eyes. She was alone in the medbay, but she wasn't scared. She stood up slowly and walked to the mirror. She touched her face, then her neck, where the glowing lines were still there. Like old memories burned into skin. She whispered to herself, in a language long forgotten. And behind her, on the table, the scanner turned on by itself. No. One touched it. It began recording. Her vitals. Her heat, her energy. And deep inside the ship, a small alarm triggered. A signal had been sent. Someone or something now knew where she was. The ship was dark, silent. Captain Rel lay in his bunk, staring at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come easy anymore, not after what he had seen. The girl, her glowing skin, the static shock. Her whisper, not human. He turned to his side, eyes still open. Something was bothering him. Something in the back of his mind, like a ticking clock he couldn't hear but could feel. Then it happened, a bang, then a second one louder. He jumped up. Lyra, what was that? The AI responded instantly. Disturbance in medbay. Energy surge detected. Rel grabbed his jacket and ran. The door to the medbay slid open with a warning beep. He stopped. The lights inside were flickering, turning blue and gold. Dancing like a storm was trapped inside the room. In the middle of it all, she stood. The girl, but she wasn't weak now. She was floating, just a few inches above the ground. Arms slightly raised, eyes glowing pure white. Her skin burned with golden lines, bright and alive. Her hair lifted as if pulled by energy. Objects around her, a chair, a tray, a scanner, were spinning slowly in the air, caught in some invisible force. Lyra, Rel whispered. Shut it down, unable to comply. Power is not from the ship. Rel took a step forward. Hey, listen to me, you're safe. You don't have to do this. The girl's body twitched, not in pain, but as if she heard him in a dream. Then she screamed. The windows cracked. Every screen on the ship went black for 2 seconds, and then silence. She dropped. The energy disappeared like smoke. Rel ran and caught her before she hit the ground. Her body was hot, almost burning, but he didn't let go. She opened her eyes. This time she spoke more clearly. Weak, but real. I remember. Rel looked down at her. What do you mean? I remember who I was. A few hours later, she sat on a bench in the control room, wrapped in a blanket. Her body was calmer now, the lights in her skin dim. She held a cup of water. Hands shaking, Rel sat across from her. They stared at each other for a while before she spoke again. My name is not easy to say, she began. Not in your language. But I was called Vara, Rel nodded. All right, Vara, where are you from? She looked out the window. Far beyond this system. A planet that doesn't exist anymore, burned, erased. Rel frowned. Erased? She nodded slowly. My kind was created. Not born. I was made by scientists, a living weapon for a war that ended before I even opened my eyes. You're a clone? No, she said, shaking her head. Not a copy. Something new, designed, built, trained in my dreams. But they didn't finish me. They died before I was complete. Rel was silent, Vara continued. The station where I was kept was found by scavengers. They didn't know what I was. They thought I was a machine that failed, sold me for parts, sold me again and again. She looked down at her glowing hands. Until the cage, she whispered. Rel clenched his jaw. Why now? Why did your power wake up here? Vara looked up at him. Because this is the first place I've felt safe. The words hit Rel like a punch. He didn't know what to say. Later, Rel sat alone in the engine room. His hands worked, fixing a damaged circuit, but his mind was far away. She's a weapon, he said to himself. A living weapon. Lyra spoke softly. She is more than that. She protected your ship's systems when she lost control. She guided the power, not destroyed it. Rel looked up. She controlled it? Yes, she is learning. Rel stood up. Then we need to move if someone built her. Someone might still be looking, Lyra responded instantly. Too late. A signal was released during the surge. Traced, we are no longer alone. Rel cursed. How long? Minutes. One ship approaching. Unknown design. He ran toward the cockpit. In the med bay, Vara sat on the floor, her arms wrapped around her legs. She suddenly felt it, like a cold wind in her bones. She stood and looked out the small window. A dark ship had appeared outside. It didn't blink. It didn't flash. It didn't ask questions. It was coming. For her, the black ship did not make a sound. No radio signal. No warning lights. No weapons drawn, yet it simply hovered outside Rel's ship, still as death. Silent, like it was waiting. Or listening. Inside the gray wing, red lights flashed on every control panel. Rel stared at the display. Lyra, tell me something good. The AI responded, voice sharp. Unknown vessel, no ID, no registration. No response to contact. It appeared without a jump signal. That's not good, Rel muttered. It's watching us, Lyra added, like a predator. Rel looked out the window. The ship was huge, long and sharp, like a knife. Its surface was dark metal, pulsing slightly, like it was breathing, behind him. Footsteps. Vara entered the cockpit. Her eyes were cold now. She didn't need to ask. She already knew. They found me, she said softly. Rel turned. Who are they? Vara didn't blink. Hunters. Programmed to retrieve me, or erase me. Erase. If they can't take me alive, they will destroy me, and everyone near me. Rel didn't waste time. Lyra, prep the ship for evasive flight. Engines warming, shields online, but Captain, we can't outrun them. Vara stepped forward. You can't, but I can stop them. Rel looked at her, angry. No, you just barely woke up. You're still unstable. Vara's voice was calm. They won't stop. If we run, they will follow. If we hide, they will search. They don't sleep. They don't forget. Rel stared at her glowing hands. Then what do you plan to do? She looked out the window again. Let them board. The dark ship moved. Closer, still no weapons. No noise, but a tunnel of black light extended from it. Connecting to the gray wing's airlock, A soft hum vibrated through every wall, then silence. Rel and Vera stood near the door, waiting. Rel had a plasma rifle. Vera had nothing. "You sure about this?" he asked. She gave a small nod. "I don't want to fight, but they'll force me to." The airlock opened, mist rolled in, then shadows. 3 beings stepped through. Not robots, not human. Something in between. Their bodies were smooth metal and pale skin, their faces empty, no eyes, no mouth. Just a round hole where sound came out. Like wind, they didn't speak. They didn't need to. Vara stepped forward. They stopped. Then the center one made a low humming sound, a language of pure vibration. Only Vera could understand. She whispered back in the same tone. Rel watched. Silently, it was like 2 machines singing. Only colder. After a minute, the center figure raised its hand sharp like a blade. That was the signal. They moved. Fast. Vara threw her hand forward. A wave of golden energy slammed the nearest hunter into the wall. Sparks flew. It didn't scream. The second one rushed Rel. He fired once, hit. The creature's shoulder exploded, but it didn't stop. Vara turned. Her body glowing bright now, she raised both hands, and for a moment time slowed. The lights on the ship froze. The air seemed thicker, then she released her power. A silent shockwave burst through the corridor. All 3 hunters dropped. Silent, smoking, motionless. Rel lowered his gun. Vara stood in the middle of the hallway, chest rising and falling, light dimming from her skin. "They were not alive," she said quietly. "Only programs, just like I used to be." Rel approached one of the fallen bodies. "That was incredible." Vara shook her head. "That was necessary." Later, in the engine room, Rel checked the systems. Lyra helped reroute power. The shockwave had burned a few circuits. "Status?" he asked. "Minimal damage," Lyra replied. "But there's more." "What now?" Lyra's voice dropped. "Those hunters sent a trace beacon before impact. A signal went out. Location, target confirmed." "More are coming?" Rel asked. "Yes, and stronger." Rel punched the wall. "We need a plan." Behind him, Vara stepped into the room. "There's only one way," she said. "We stop running." Rel turned. "You mean fight?" "No, we go back," Vara replied, "to where I was created." "To the source," Rel frowned. "Isn't that dangerous?" "Yes," Vara said. "But if we don't, they will chase us forever. We have to end this." Rel stared at her. She looked calm. Focused. Like a warrior finally waking up. "Then we go," he said. And outside, in the dark cold of space, the black ship began to dissolve, melting into nothing. But the message it left behind was already flying across the stars. The ship glided through dead space, far from trade routes, far from safety. Captain Rel sat in the cockpit, staring at the blinking dot on the navigation screen. It marked a place not found on any star map, a place even Lyra, his AI, called red zoned, unknown, unexplored, untouched. Vara stood beside him, quiet, focused. Her eyes never left the stars ahead. "You're sure about this?" Rel asked. Vara nodded. "This is where I was made. The lab, the vault, whatever is left. The truth is buried there." Rel didn't like it. Every instinct told him to turn around, but he did single quotes, "Not this time." Hours passed. Then it appeared, a dark planet. Gray, cracked, floating alone like a forgotten bone in space. No sunlight touched it, no moons orbited it. It didn't even spin. It just hung there. Dead. The Vara's eyes lit up. "I remember this," she said softly. "I was inside that mountain." The planet's surface was covered in jagged cliffs and deep shadows. Near the northern ridge stood a tower, half broken, rusted, almost gone, but it was still there, still waiting. Rel landed the gray wing in silence. The ground cracked under the ship's weight, as if the planet was warning them, "You are not welcome here." The air outside was dry and thin. They wore masks. Vara walked ahead, no hesitation. She moved like someone walking home after a long time away. They reached a huge steel door, buried into the mountain wall. It had no lock. No handle, just a smooth surface. Vara stepped close and touched her glowing palm to it. For a second, Nothing happened, then a sound, low, deep. Mechanical. The door recognized her. It opened. Inside. Darkness, dulled machines, broken lights. Long hallways covered in dust. It didn't look like a lab. It looked like a tomb. As they walked, Vara touched the walls. Her memories returned like flashes. Cold hands, wires, voices speaking numbers instead of names. I was one of 7, she whispered. 7 living weapons. Genetically designed, mentally trained, energy bonded. What happened to the others? Rel asked. They failed, she said. They passed a long room, full of empty pods, all broken, all dark. Vara stopped at one. This was mine. She placed her hand on the cracked glass. Inside, on the inner wall, the name VO7 was printed in faded letters. Not a name, she said. Just a number. Rel didn't know what to say. He felt like a stranger at someone else's funeral. Then the lights flickered. A voice crackled through the speakers. Unit VO7 detected. Access unlocked. Vara turned. They left something running. A hidden panel slid open on the far wall. Inside, a glowing orb hovered, pulsing with soft blue light. Vara stepped forward. That's the core, she said. The memory bank. It holds the history of everything. She placed both hands on it. The orb lit up, brighter, faster. Then a beam of light shot into the room. A hologram appeared. An old man, white hair, tired eyes, lab coat stained with age. This is Dr. Kelmer, the hologram said. Project Eden? Day 1227, Rel watched as the man spoke, not to them, but to anyone who might come after. These children, they are powerful. More than we expected, but not weapons. They are beings. We made them, yes, but they feel, they dream, they choose. The hologram glitched. We were fools. We trained them like machines, broke them like tools. One escaped, one survived. Vara's eyes filled with light. Not from her body, but from emotion. I ran, she whispered. I didn't know why. Just fear. The hologram continued. If you are hearing this, you are VO7, or someone she trusts. Protect her. They will hunt her, not because she's dangerous, but because she's proof. Proof that something artificial can have a soul. Then the hologram died. Silence returned. Rel looked at her. You're not a weapon, he said. No, she replied. I'm a mirror. Rel frowned. What do you mean? Vara turned toward him. They feared what they saw in me, not because I could destroy, but because I could choose not to. That makes me dangerous. Suddenly, alarms, red lights, Lyra's voice came through Rel's wrist. Come, Captain, hostile ships approaching. 6, no, 8 signatures. They found you. Rel looked at Vara. She didn't move. She simply closed her eyes, then said one word. Enough. Outside the lab, the sky turned black as the enemy ships broke through orbit. But this time, Vara was ready. No longer hiding. No longer running. She knew who she was, and now. So, did they? Asterisk. The ground trembled. Above the dead mountain, the sky turned red with fire. 8 ships descended, cutting through the dark clouds like blades. Cold, fast, merciless. Inside the ruined lab, Captain Rel stood near the doorway, rifle in hand. His face was calm, but his hands were tight on the weapon. Vara stood in the center of the chamber, her back to him, her eyes on the glowing orb that still hovered with fading light. They're here, Rel said. I know, she replied. You have to decide now. Vara didn't move. Her body glowed faintly, not with rage. Not with fear, but with something else. Something deeper. I was made to fight, she whispered. To destroy, to obey. She turned slowly toward Rel. But I don't want to be a weapon anymore. Rel lowered his rifle. Then don't be. She looked down at her hands. You saw what I did. To the hunters, to the ship systems, I lose control, it spreads. I become something else. You're learning, Rel said. You stopped yourself before. You chose not to kill. But what if I can't again? Vara asked. What if this time I lose everything? Rel walked closer. Then we'll face it together. She stared at him. Something about his voice. Steady, human, honest. cut through the storm in her mind. Why do you care? She asked. Rel gave a half smile. Because someone should. Outside, the ships landed. Dark figures stepped onto the surface, more hunters. But these were different, bigger, sharper, their movements more precise. They didn't walk like soldiers, they moved like predators. Voice echoed through the mountain. Va7, return or be eliminated. No emotion. No pause. Just fact. Vara stepped forward. She stood at the entrance of the lab, wind blowing through her hair, cloak rising behind her. Her golden glow lit the cracked stone. She looked up at the ships, then down at the army. She didn't move, but her voice was strong. I am not VO7 anymore. The voice responded instantly. Then you are a threat. The army advanced. Inside the ship, Lyra's voice crackled through Rel's cum. Captain, we must leave. There's still time. Rel didn't move. No, he said. She's not running anymore. He walked up beside Vara. If this is the end, we stand here. Vara looked at him, surprised. You die for me? No, Rel replied. I'd die with you. The army reached the base of the mountain. Weapons raised. Lights blinked, but before the first shot, Vara stepped forward. She closed her eyes. And remembered the pain of the cage, the silence of the lab, the screams of broken sisters, the kind voice of the human. The warmth of freedom. Then her body glowed brighter than ever before. Not gold, not fire. But light. Pure. Living. Her feet rose off the ground. Her arms lifted wide. Energy poured from her like a wave, flowing over the mountain, washing across the army. But this time, it didn't destroy. It changed. The hunters stopped. Frozen. Their weapons dropped. The light touched their armor. And it cracked. Not from heat. From memory. Inside each of them, a part of her remained. Old code, old patterns, linked to her core. She didn't attack. She rewrote them, one by one. The hunters fell to their knees, not dead, but free. Their glowing eyes dimmed, and the red light in the sky faded. Rel watched in silence. He had no words. He had seen wars, soldiers, bombs, but he had never seen anything like this, a being built to destroy. Choosing to save, Vara floated gently back to the ground. She looked weak now, pale, but at peace. They're free, she said softly. Rel ran to her, catching her as she stumbled. You did it. She smiled. I didn't fight them. I forgave them. Later, in the ship, as the sunless planet faded behind them, Vara sat beside the window. Rel brought her water. You don't have to keep running now, he said. She looked out at the stars. I'm moving forward. Rel nodded. What will you do? She turned to him. Live? Vara stood on the observation deck of the Grey Wing, watching the stars pass like silver ghosts behind her. The war was over. The hunters were gone, not destroyed, but freed. The mountain lab, where she had been built, was left in silence. A graveyard of science and mistakes, but she was no longer a mistake. She was something. New dove alive. Awake. Ken. Rel walked in quietly, holding 2 mugs of warm synth tea. I never thought I'd see peace, he said. Vara took 1 mug, her hands steady now. I never thought I'd be peace. Rel smiled. You know, when I first saw you in that cage, I thought you were broken. I was, she replied, but not in the way they believed. She looked down at her reflection in the dark glass. I wasn't broken because I was weak. I was broken because I had no choice. Rel nodded. And now? She turned to him, eyes glowing soft gold. Now I choose. 3 days passed. Vara repaired parts of the ship with her energy, learning more each time. The systems, the circuits, they responded to her like old friends. She didn't just walk the halls now. She belonged. And Rel, he watched quietly from the shadows. She was no longer the girl from the cage. No longer afraid of her hands, her past, or her power. She had become a symbol, not just to him, but to those who heard her story. A call came through the ship's COMS. It wasn't from Earth. Not from any government. It came from a distant colony station, neutral, independent. The message was simple. We heard what she did. We heard how she chose mercy. We have others, machines, hybrids, survivors, afraid of what they are. Can she help them? Rel looked at Vara. He didn't even have to ask. She was already preparing a reply. Later that evening, they sat together on the cargo bay ramp, the stars wide and open above. Rel sipped his tea. You could have disappeared, you know? Gone silent. Lived in peace somewhere. Vara looked out into the stars. That's not peace, that's hiding. She took a deep breath. For years I was seen as a tool, a product, a weapon. She placed a hand on her chest. But I know now I was made for more. Not just to destroy, but to rebuild. Rel chuckled. You sound wiser than most humans. I learned from one, she smiled. As the ship began its journey to the outer colony, Vara stood in the center of the command room. She looked straight at the screen. Recording. Her message wasn't just for the colony. It was for anyone who had ever been told they were less. My name is Vara. I was built to obey. To kill. They gave me a number, a code, and no choice. But I found a voice. I found a friend. I found myself. If you are watching this, and you've been told you're not enough, remember, worth is not given, it's discovered. And no one gets to decide yours. But you. The message went out. To thousands. To planets that had forgotten hope. To machines hiding in mining stations. To hybrids locked away by fear. Her words didn't start a war, they started a movement. On a station orbiting a red dwarf star, a small boy, half machine, eyes full of worry, watched Vara's face on a dusty screen. He didn't understand everything she said, but he saw her glow, he saw her smile, and for the first time in his life, he smiled too. Back on the gray wing, Rel walked through the ship, quiet, thoughtful. He passed the place where she first slept, curled on the medbay floor. Now, it was empty, not because she was gone, but because she had grown. Vara now rested in a proper cabin, not as a guest. As a crew member. As an equal. One night, as they drifted between stars, Rel asked her the question, "What do you want to be?" Vara didn't answer right away. She walked to the front window, looking at the galaxies ahead, then said, "Human." Rel blinked. "You already are." And so the girl once sold for a bottle of liquor, the one they called broken, useless, dangerous, became more than her creators ever imagined. She became a legend. Not for her strength, but for her choice.